Unleash the power of knowledge and connect with the heartbeat of the African diaspora. Download our African Diaspora News Channel app now on Google Play and Apple App Store. Stay informed with authentic and diverse perspectives, breaking news, and cultural insights. Immerse yourself in a community that celebrates unity, resilience, and progress. Experience the vibrancy of the diaspora at your fingertips. Don't miss out. Empower your perspective today. Search African Diaspora News Channel and join the conversation.
South Africa was better off under Apartheid government than it is under the ANC. Hello, my name is Renelo Murema and I am your host right here on the African Diaspora News Channel, reporting live from Johannesburg, South Africa. A white male on TikTok posted a video saying that the economy was better during the Apartheid government than it is now under the ANC.
For 30 years, white people in South Africa were to blame for apartheid. Black people spoke freely about white people's rule and their apartheid in South Africa. But now that the tables have turned and the wheels have turned as well, now we can speak freely under democracy, the Free Speech Act, about black people's rule in South Africa and what black people have accomplished and what black people solely are responsible for in South Africa. The ANC black government is solely responsible for the highest unemployment rate in the world. The black ANC government is solely responsible for the highest HIV and rape rate in the world. Women of all colors are unsafe in South Africa due to the highest crime rate in the world. Also, all state-owned enterprises are bankrupted due to corruption by black people only in government positions. Also, all municipalities failed due to providing any basic services in South Africa. Hardly any electric, hardly any clean water coming through the taps, load shedding and so forth, hardly any roads to drive on. So to speak about black people, we have way much more to say than apartheid of white people in South Africa, because black people have ruled and ruled South Africa now for 30 years. And apartheid was created by white people, and the economy was way better off than it is now currently in South Africa. So even the exchange rate, the US to the rand in South Africa, was stronger than the US dollar and the sterling pound under apartheid, but now it's 20-1 to the dollar. So it's fair to say, and according to all newspapers, that the South Africa is a dysfunctional state. And we have seen it with the state capture, and we have seen it with the justice system, that the justice system is dysfunctioned due to black people. All hospitals, state-owned hospitals, collapsed under black people's rule. And the list goes on. How black people destroyed South Africa. So it's fair to say, without discriminating anyone, because I'm not discriminating, because black people spoke freely about white people's rule in South Africa when they were in government. So nobody was discriminating against white people. So now black people are in power, so no one is discriminating, not even I, are discriminating against black people's rule in South Africa. I'm just showing you that black people and what black people did to South Africa, you can't even compare it to what white people did.
So essentially, he's saying South Africa was better off under apartheid. But better for who? Who was benefiting during the apartheid era? When he says South Africa, who is he speaking on behalf of? The minority doesn't get to speak on behalf of the majority, which is us, the black people, the previously oppressed people under the apartheid regime. This person is only speaking on the economic part of things, leaving a whole aspect of humanity. I'm not here to make assumptions, I'm not here to assume, but according to my own understanding, this person is saying that our freedom, our psychological freedom, the 30 years of living in democracy doesn't count for anything. In fact, it is an inconvenience for their monetary benefits because they are no longer obtaining things easier. Their entitlement is slowly shrinking because we have the guts to confront the injustices and the inequality of our state. Even though we have been living free for 30 years, South Africa is still an unequal state. He fails to point out that this country is their own personal generational wealth built from the tears, sweat, and blood of black people. And he says for 30 years, nothing has been done. What is he comparing the 30 years to? Because there is nothing to compare the 30 years to except for apartheid. So in general, you are saying for 30 years, nothing has been done for you. Guys, come on. We cannot compare 30 years of democracy to 30 years of apartheid because apartheid only catered to a specific group of people, which is the minority group. So when you say 30 years, it is 30 years of you being uncomfortable in a democracy. 30 years of you being led by black people. So imagine how we felt when we were led by white people all these years, with being sidelined all these years, and you can't take 30 years of people finally finding their voice, having equal opportunities, and finally taking back what belongs to them. 30 years of you being uncomfortable in the process because you are constantly getting reminded of why is that we are still struggling to rectify mistakes. You cannot dictate how we should heal. You cannot police our healing processes. The generational trauma that we carry, the ugly head of racism that still pokes through even today. You cannot police how we should forgive y'all because you never asked for forgiveness in the first place. So do not sit there with your privileged skin complaining and telling the world that you are unfairly treated. No progress has been made under black government because now the blood money isn't coming in huge sums anymore. There are no more benefits. Yes, the economy was thriving. The exchange rate was thriving. The rand was strong against the dollar at some point. And why do you think that is? Because not everyone was included to benefit from the economy.
I love the country I was born in. I like the way of life. We have an easy living. It's a healthy climate for children and for ourselves. And it's just, I love it.
No problems?
Oh, I have my problems. Certainly I do.
You're saying, is life easy for women in general?
Yes, very. If you wish to make it so.
What makes it so easy?
Well, I think our husbands spoil us, the majority of women, and we grow up in an easy way. We never have to do anything for ourselves. This is talking on an average home, of course. You get the poorer home or you get immigrants and people that refuse to have servants. But if you grow up in an average home where you do your own work, you have servants to do your work. I mean, you're taught the basic things in housekeeping and to keep your bedroom tidy and so on. But if you feel like something being washed, it's given to the servant to wash. You never have, it's an easy life.
The economy was not beneficial for everybody. There wasn't these social grants and healthcare benefits for the black people. Now the economy is weak, not from corruption only, but because it caters for everyone. People are starting to wake up. People are coming for their piece of cake in the economy. Of course, it is bound to shake the economy. When the whites got out of power, they made sure to secure themselves and their offspring, create a generational wealth that never runs dry while the country is in shambles.
Hello from Cape Town. This is the Urbanist. If you want to see how the white privilege looks like in the post-apartheid South Africa, well, this is one of the images. In the most wealthy part of Cape Town, where predominantly white people live, right next to the beautiful ocean, exclusively black working class people are waiting to go back to their homes at the periphery of the city, who enjoy the city and who works for the enjoyment of those people is
while leaving the country in shambles for people who are still healing from trauma to turn it around. We are very sorry for the inconvenience of our healing process. We are very sorry that our healing process is not comfortable for you. The man further talks about white discrimination that is currently happening in South Africa. He calls it a reverse apartheid. Let us assume that South Africa is really in a reverse apartheid. Do you understand the current South Africa to the apartheid South Africa? The extremity of apartheid South Africa and how badly blacks were treated compared to how South Africa currently stands. How lucky are you to live in reverse apartheid? You get to walk where you want to, apply for the jobs you want to, get paid higher than a lot of black people in the country, get treated better than the natives of South Africa.
How did white South Africans get so wealthy? South Africa is the most unequal society in the world. And it freaks me out how many South Africans complain about BEE, or they say 30 years of democracy, isn't that enough for you? In exactly that accent. And how little most South Africans know about economic apartheid, how far colonial and apartheid governments went to lift up white people and suppress people of color for hundreds of years. The simple truth is, black economic empowerment is nothing compared to white economic empowerment.
You get to live comfortably in the suburbs without being disturbed. You get to live in secluded areas. For example, there's a place called Orania, an all-white area in the Northern Cape. How's that even possible? An all-white town with their own currency.
In South Africa, there exists an all-white town, believe it or not. They have their own money and everything. It was established in 91, 92, towards the end of white man rule. They knew apartheid was coming to an end, so they planned far ahead. Today, it remains an all-white location, supported by some secret and some publicly, staunchly apartheid apologists and white supremacists. Some sense of their ideology, it's still based on the proto-Dutch identity known as Afrikaner, aka Boer, which is an amalgamation of the word African and who the knows. But there you have it.
Why is our democratic government allowing that? Are they basically saying that 1994 for them did not happen? The reconciliation doesn't mean anything. Your kids go to the best schools, you get to travel, still get treated better than a lot of natives of the country. We are comparing this to apartheid, right? But yet you are free in the so-called reverse apartheid. My understanding is that you label this reverse apartheid because you are no longer in control. And the fact is, you always feel the need to be in control. You adore the current president because you can control him in the background. You orchestrated a smear campaign against former President Jacob Zuma because he was trying to compensate black people. Give them land, get them in higher position. You can read the mining charter in your spare time, people.
Look at what point President Zuma became the enemy of white monopoly capital is when he started talking about radical economic transformation, when he talked about land expropriation without compensation, when he sponsored that mining charter, which gave black people 30% of ownership. That's Msebenzi Zwane. And I asked people to go read that mining charter because such a progressive document said Over 50% of mining housing boards must reflect the black majority, must reflect women, youth, and disabled people. It was a very progressive move which threatened the interests of white capital, and that's why there was that sponsored Zuma Must Go campaign. And today, we have load shedding. Zuma had stopped load shedding. People forget this. Under Zuma, with the late Dr. Ngubani and brother
Please, I am not saying he was a savior. He had his faults, his corrupt ways, which I do not agree with. But he is the one person I can think of at the top of my head when it comes to black empowerment. 12 wasted years is just a campaign that was literally used to brainwash us. All you folks do is take until there's nothing left to take. And when there's nothing else to take, you make up these wild stories like white genocide in South Africa. When was that even a thing? You folks had a black president who'd roll out a red carpet for y'all. Isn't that enough?
In which you describe white people as visitors in South Africa, is that correct?
Absolutely.
Now, how do you reconcile this constitutional notion that South Africa belongs to all who live in it and that white people are visitors in South Africa?
You arrived here as settlers in 1652. It's a historical fact. And you were using South Africa as a refreshment station. You were not here to settle. You were passing. Because of our Africanness and the spirit of Ubuntu, we have embraced you and we have shared our land with you. And we have accepted that you have naturalized in this country. But it doesn't change the fact that you came here as a visitor.
When I defend myself against white racists and terrorists, if you are scared of them, it's none of my business, Chief.
But you are saying,
alone.
But
you are saying of being scared of white people. I'm standing up to them.
Yeah.
I'm standing up to whiteness. I'm standing to white arrogance. I will never allow it to play itself out in South Africa when I'm a leader of a third political party.
Isn't our mercy enough? You didn't ask for forgiveness, but we forgave y'all. Isn't that enough? I'm not here to excuse my black government's corrupt ways. In fact, I mentioned it in my previous video that they practice the ways of the colonizers. They benefit from corruption funded by the West. They exploit us on a daily basis and no one is holding them accountable. That is why they're cruising through the economical state of the country, awarding tenders to their corrupt and fraudulent friends who sponsor these young ladies, their lavish lifestyle.
How much land do you think white people own in this country? Take a guess.
A lot.
Take a guess.
I'd say 40% because the government then owns another large chunk of land.
Yeah.
So I'd say 40, which is a large number.
72%.
Actually, yeah.
72%.
They've turned this country into their own private party, their own personal piggy banks at our expense. I am aware of that, but you cannot sit there as a white person and say we have not achieved anything in 30 years as compared to your apartheid government. My freedom, my mental state, my well-being is the biggest achievement of all times. Today, I can go to any institution and apply for any job because 1994 did that for me. What do you think about this conversation? What do you think about this topic? Please feel free to comment in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss these groundbreaking conversations right here on African Diaspora News channel. Don't forget to like the broadcast, share the broadcast. Your voices and your opinion matter to us. Until next time, I'm your host Renee Lomorema. It's been an absolute pleasure.